Hi guys, it's Carrie from Photography Awesome Sauce, and I wanted to do a little video blog this week just talking about how to get your business to stand out, and a lot of how that has to do with branding, and so how those two things really go together. In the next couple months, if you're familiar with our book club, we're going to be reading a book called Purple Cow, and it's all about getting your business to stand out. So it's a short, quick little book, teeny little thing. If you guys are interested, this book is awesome, and it's great about talking about all those things and all those reasons why you need your business to stand out and stand out differently from others. So I think with photography businesses, we're all offering a very, very similar service. And we can all be really great photographers with great equipment. And what I've noticed over time with my business is that people don't always book with me based on the quality of my photos or the style of my photos. People are actually much more likely to book with me based on my personality instead of what my photos look like. And really, a client, although they can probably tell the difference between a great photo and a bad photo, they might not be able to tell the difference between a good photo and a great photo. So really, the best thing I can do to stand out from my competition is to focus on my personality and my branding. And those things really go together. So I wanted to talk about the two things that I really think make up a great brand is personality and professionalism. So for personality, basically with your brand, anytime a client is interacting with you, whether it is in person or on Facebook or on your website, on your blog, via Twitter, how you make them feel and how they walk away feeling is what your brand essentially is. So if you make them feel good and you make them feel positive, that's going to create brand loyalty, which inevitably will bring in referrals, because the more loyal that people are to your brand, the more likely they are going to refer you to their friends and family to do their photos. So really, branding is all about emotion. It's all about how you make people feel. So if you're not making people feel very good, your brand might not be very good. If you take a look at some really big companies and how they make people feel, like Apple, for example, is a really big company, and their branding is very much focused on how people feel about their products and their brand. And if you watch their commercials and their advertising, it really invokes a feeling. And those of you who are big Apple and Mac users, you inevitably end up having brand loyalty. How often have you seen those debates between people who use Windows based products and Apple products, and they compare, and both of them have each done a great job creating brand loyalty to the point where people argue and debate about it. But your brand is going to be all about emotion and how people connect with you. And so that's the most important thing, is if you can build trust with people, that is actually going to define your brand. And people are going to remember you for being fun and awesome, and how they really felt like they could trust you, and how they, you had a great time with them at their wedding. And I think with your personality, part of your brand, people will build a trust with you and build a relationship with you because you give them the opportunity to get to know you. And so your brand is not just about your logo or your packaging or how your website looks. It's also about how it makes people feel. And for me, a really successful way to make my clients feel welcome is to invite them into my life. I mean, if I'm photographing their wedding or their birth or their newborn, I'm able to be a part of something that's really important for them, one of the biggest moments of their lives. And so it seems very, very good to invite them to be a part of my life too, because we're going to build trust, and then they're going to give me a lot more trust with being able to participate in these big events of their lives. So one of the ways I build trust and let people get to know my personality and have them have an emotional connection with my brand is by inviting them to be my friend on Facebook. That is a really great tool for me as a photographer, is that now I can invite people in. They get to be a part of my life. They get to see all the things that define who I am, because who I am is what my brand is. I always say that you guys all probably know, if you're friends with me on Facebook or you follow any of my business pages, you have probably seen photos of my 3 dogs. And what's accidentally happened over the last year is that my dogs have become such a huge part of my brand that people recognize them. People recognize photos of them on Pinterest, and people recognize photos of them in other places that they might end up that may not have my name attached. People recognize them when I'm taking them out for a walk. And that's become a big part of my brand, is my love for my dogs. It's so important to me, and it's a big part of who I am. And my clients really, really love that. I honestly can tell you that most of my clients are dog people. I don't get a lot of cat people, and maybe it's a difference in personality, but that's okay. But what I love is that my dogs have very distinct personalities, and playing those up for me and allowing my clients to get to know me through my dogs and how funny they are and how quirky our lives are because of them has really become a big part of my business and who I am. And I actually have gotten referrals based on my dogs. So I had a bride who said that she came to me because her friend had her wedding through me, and she has a Dalmatian and I have 2 Dalmatians, and that's why she decided to book me. It wasn't because my photos are good. It's not because they're great. It's because we have this thing in common that really connects us, and that creates an emotional thing for her. And because of that emotion and how it makes her feel, she's really happy with my service. So it's funny, the little things that can become part of your brand. So your personality is a huge part of that. Now we're going to talk about the other part, which I think is professionalism. So, I mean, yes, your brand is your personality, and if you're fun and you're silly and you have silly dogs like me, you can post all these kinds of things, but you still need to have a very professional, consistent look to what you're doing. So this is kind of where that look comes in and how people are going to perceive you. I think it's really important to have a consistent look across all the different services that you use. So your website should have the same font as your logo on Twitter and your Facebook, and all those images should look the same. One of the things that I do is I like to use the same picture of myself on my website, on my Facebook, on my business page on Facebook, on my Twitter, so that wherever I go and wherever people might encounter something I've written, they also know that it's me. And then when they meet me in person, they might be like, oh, hey, you're Carrie Swales. I saw that tweet you did one time. And they recognize me because of that same picture I'm using across all those services. So having really good consistency is important. And then I think with branding and your actual stuff and your logo and packaging and all of that, yes, it's important to have a nice looking packaging set. But your business card can be one of the first impressions people get from you. So I know there's a lot of debate about business cards, what they should and shouldn't say, but how people perceive a business card can be completely different from the next person. And so I've actually experimented a lot with putting different things on business cards, seeing how people react to them, seeing how clients react to them, and what has been the most successful for me. And what I found is that I need to use my logo font, whatever that font is, so that I have that same consistent look. So when they see my business card, and then if they run across a blog post I wrote 2 months later and they see that same logo, they might associate it with my business card and realize they met me. But one thing in particular with business cards is the debate about whether you should or shouldn't put an image on your business card. And what I've found through experience is that I might have this gorgeous image of this bride and groom that I just fell in love with at a wedding. And I'm like, oh, this is the best picture ever. This is the kind of wedding I want to photograph. These are the kind of people I want to photograph. I'm going to put that on my business card so that everybody knows that these are the kind of people I want to photograph. But maybe not everybody likes that image, or maybe not everybody gets what I'm doing. And so what I found is I end up putting an actual photo of myself on my business card instead, because people don't have to love it or hate it. It's actually a picture of me. And that's one of the most important things that I can do on a business card, is put my information on one side, put a photo of me, maybe put a funny little line, something that feels like my personality, but still has a professional look to it. I just don't like to put any of my actual photos that I take of my clients on my business card anymore, because I never know if people are going to love it or hate it. And if they have that business card from you, that's their first impression of your business. And if you get one person who doesn't like that photo, they might not go to your website. So what I want to do is I want people to come and visit my website. I want to invite them to my website. My business card is the tool to get them to visit my website, where then I can show them all my great images. So that way I'm not being judged, like judging a book by its cover. But those are two things that I think are really important to branding. I know that when we talk about branding a lot online, photographers talk a lot about where to get your logo done and where to buy your packaging, but I just want to emphasize that branding is so much more than that. It's about your personality, and you still have to remain professional and consistent. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you guys are interested in joining the book club, I'm going to put a link to that in this blog post. We would love to have you. Everything's going to start in January, so you still have a week or so to kind of get the books together. But we would love to have you there. We're going to be reading one book a month about business. February, we're going to be reading Purple Cow and learning all about how to stand out and how to make that part of your branding. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week.